So we're supposed to have, so Sandra Eisenberg was a new student. She came last week. And there's another student that I sent the material to. Her name is Diane. And Diane Stacy. And I had trouble sending it. So then I called Julia. Apparently I had been given the wrong email because it kept rejecting it. I hope you all got what I sent. I sent 3 attachments. One is a song that's very popular for Purim. So I had a question that I wanted to start with. And that question is, what names do you expect to hear as we read today? What names are popular in the Megillah story?
Haman.
Okay, so there's Haman. So
And
they
that's how you
call
say
it
it?
Haman.
Vashti,
the queen.
Esther, the queen.
Esther.
Mordechai,
Mordechai. And what was Esther's Hebrew name? Is it Hadassah.
Asa,
Okay, so Esther must have been like maybe a Persian name. Would you get that one?
That's Michelle. Let it go to her.
Okay, that might have been a Persian name or whatever. Okay, and what things do we associate with celebrating Purim? By the way,
Hamantasian.
okay, now yes, absolutely Hamantasian. So I had put a question for you. What are Oznei Haman?
Haman,
Something of Haman's.
Something of Haman.
the
Well, I'll
ear,
give you his ears. Very good, Elizabeth. His ears. So what? This is your ozen, oznayim, ears. They come in pairs. Are you
So
full
what
of
does-
sound because you were on your head before? There you go.
What does Hamantasian mean?
So Hamantasian really is Haman's pockets.
Oh,
To fill
okay.
them. But Oznei Haman, Haman's ears, and I don't understand, that is also Hamantasian, but it's in Hebrew, Oznei Haman, the ears of Haman. So there's some funny
Yeah.
Haman's
Okay.
pockets and whatever.
All right.
Okay. Let's see if I can see the others coming in. Okay. All right. Hi, Francine. And there's
Hi,
Dorothy.
Carol. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Francine.
Dorothy, we don't see you yet, but we know you're there. Come on in, Dorothy. Okay, so if you had, well, it's just about time to start because we have a lot of things to do and I don't want to have to rush it. And there's some, fun stuff. So the first thing I wanted to do was the song. And, in the Hebrew school, this is one that was always a favorite. So, Diane, okay, you are muted. Well, let's see if the other Diane comes and joins us.
Yes, I was gonna run to the bathroom.
Well, you can still make a run.
Okay, thank you.
With permission. You don't have to raise your hand. All right, let's see if anybody else. Gallery. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Anyway, so this song is very popular. So what do people do on Purim to celebrate? Okay, we eat Hamantasian, but what else what is this thing called?
The grogger.
The grogger. Anyone know the Hebrew word for grogger? It's actually noisemaker. It's called a ra'ashan. And the noise that it's in the song, the noise that the grogger makes is rush, rush, rush. So when you spin your grogger, it's the way it's translated into Hebrew is rush, rush, rush. Okay. And what else do people put on? How do they come?
Costumes.
Costumes,
Okay, they wear costumes and on their face they put,
masks.
so that's masecha is one. Masechot are masks. So that's important. The costumes, the groggers, the Oznei Haman or the Hamantasian. Okay, the word Yehudim, of course, means
Jewish.
Jews. Okay, now, and then I have here Rikudim. So I gave you some of the important things. Now, the custom is sending gifts of food.
Shalach manot.
Shalach manot or mishloach manot. And manot are portions like manna in the desert. So manot, portions of food. And the manna in the desert, of course, was not Hamantasian. It was some kind of thing that tasted like a sweet, white, sticky substance. Okay. And Zemirot, songs. It's very interesting that the word, I looked this one up, Machmadim. Nechmad means cute or nice. Nechmad. And machmadim are delights, all kinds of like candy and things like that. I never heard of the word before. Tufinim, that's in the second stanza. And migdanot, I didn't know those words, so I looked them up. So shalach manot or mishloach manot. And once had an adult class. It was, they called it like a parallel class to what the kids were teaching. And when I was teaching them about Purim, I told them all about bringing in a basket of food, and we would have like a little grab bag thing. So someone actually brought baskets. They got a basket and put fruits in it and stuff. What is supposed to be in the Mishloach Manot?
Hamantasian.
Okay, so the pastry, of course. What else is supposed to be in there?
3 different
Sweet.
kinds of food.
Okay, so you're usually good. Fruit and Hamantasian is 2. And usually some candy and something like that. And also a beverage. So you can get a little bottle of wine, or some people put in, I usually put in some kind of fancy tea bags, which people ordinarily wouldn't buy. So I buy some fancy tea bags, and you put in candy and stuff like that. You know, now my sisterhood has a fundraiser, which I'm going to put the names in right when I get off from this. I have to have it in, I think, by today. So they used to actually have a little bag of candy and those things, sweets. You'd come to the synagogue, and if your name was on the list that people gave to you, you'd come and you'd get your bag. When I first heard about that, I thought, oh my goodness, if 5 people put in money for me, I'm going to get 5 bags of candy. That's not the way it works. You get 1 bag. I was so disappointed. What my friends and I used to do is, you know, I would go over to a couple of my friends' houses and actually bake Hamantasian and bring them a little bag of something, you know, candy and fruit and all that stuff. And it was always fun to see what somebody would put in the bag, you know, how they envisioned it. But then, and I always come to the synagogue with about 10 or 12 bags that I'll give spontaneously to people I haven't sponsored on the, you know, in the fundraising thing. And that's kind of fun. And everybody's, oh, thank you. This is like, I like to preserve the original feeling of giving, actually giving the food, not just, you know, putting in money and someone is going to get on a scroll, your name is going to be on there, because I really like to have the spirit of the delight, you know, of giving somebody something. And Elizabeth sent us a recipe for Hamantasian.
Yeah.
Bless you.
So hopefully some of you will try it. Okay, so here's a song. And you may have heard this. It goes like this. Chag Purim, Chag Purim, Chag Gadol Hu LaYehudim, Masechot Rashanim, Zemirot V'Rikudim, Havana Risha, Rash, 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 Havana Risha, Rash, 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 Havana Risha, Rash, 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 Bara Ashanim. Now, we never used to do the second stanza, but I guess it goes like this. Chag Purim, Ze El Ze Sholchim Manot, Machmadim, Mamtakim, Tufinim V'Migdanot. And then again, Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Anyone ever hear that song?
Yes.
They sing it the kids sing it. You've heard it at the services. The cantor probably leads a few fun songs at the thing. Have any of you gone to services dressed up?
Oh, I wore regular clothes, but I wore like yellow stockings. That's and an orange scarf. So they didn't match. So it looked like I was dressed up.
Okay, very good. I once came as the Western Wall, as the Kotel Hamaravi. I got a sheet and I took sand and I made blocks on it. I put my head through the thing. I think I had a stick across so that it looked wider. So I put my head through it and then with this stick, and then I put glue, and then I put sand so it stuck with the craft glue. Another time I came as spring. I made a flowery bonnet, and I bought, you know, wreaths of flowers, and I attached it to my skirt. Another time I had a sign, another time I came as the okay kid. And that was, I got a hat that looked the sheriff's hat. And I had little scrolls that looked like tzitzit in my pockets. So like I was a cowboy, but I was a Jewish cowboy. I came as a chassid once, I looked like my son-in-law. And then once I came, I don't know, I said, oh yeah, I had a sign, no chametz. And I took bagels and I put them on my hand and then they dried out. So that looked, hi Dorothy, it looked like, it looks like bracelets, but I made it out of bagels. And then I put a big sign, no chametz here. No chametz. I just been crazy. I don't know what I'm going to do this. I've come as a Chinese woman. I have silk Chinese pajamas. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet this year, but it's always been, mine are always intellectual. They try to get, once I came as a Jew from Spain and I had a red dress and I had like a mesh black tights and ballet slippers. And so I looked like a flamenco dancer.
Oh, yeah.
So that I was a Sephardic Jew. So I have to figure out, they've always liked my costumes and no one can figure out what they are usually. Okay, so let's try this song. So it says the holiday of Purim, Chag Purim, and then Chag Gadol. What's Gadol?
Great.
A great holiday for Yehudim, Jews. Masechot, masks. Rashanim, braggers. Zmirot,
Songs.
Varikudim, and dancing. A lot of fun. And then Hava, let's, like Hava Nagila really means let us rejoice. Gil means Gil means joy. So Hava Narisha, let's make noise. Hava Narisha, and then we rush, the sound of the graga, Bara Ashanim with our graggers. And this second part talks about giving sweets and candies and stuff like that. So it's really nice. So Dorothy, I asked a question. What are Oznei Haman?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What are Oznei Haman? Aha. They're Haman's ears.
You're coming
Haman's ears. And that's Hamantasian in Hebrew. Oznei, Ozen is your ear.
Oh.
Oznei Haman. Sounds
Yeah,
pretty disgusting to me. I think I like it. And
remember.
Hamantasian is Haman's pockets. Haman's pockets.
Mhm.
So the traditional filling was always poppy seeds. I don't know why.
I like that.
Moon. I'm not crazy for that. I like apricot jam and cherry jam and raspberry and all that stuff. I make those. Okay, let's try to sing this. So it goes la 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 la. Okay, so I'll do it a line and you sing it after me. Chag Purim, you do it.
Chag Purim.
Chag
Purim.
Chag Gadol hu laYehudim.
Chag
Gadol hu laYehudim. Masechot ra'ashanim Shemirot v'rikudim. Masechot ra'ashanim Shemirot v'rikudim. And here's the fast part. Havana Risha, rush. Havana Risha, rush. And again, Havana Risha, rush. Havana Risha, rush. Bara Ashanim with our groggers. Okay, Dorothy, what chapter are you reading from?
It says chapter 9, verses 27 and 29.
Okay, so that's kind of towards the
It's
end.
at the end.
It's after they've hung Haman and his sons.
Yeah.
Are they rejoicing now?
Haman is out of the picture, thank
Out
goodness.
of the
I didn't
picture.
Get interrupted.
He's gone. Okay, so that's the song. Maybe you can find it online and you can sing along with it. Okay, so the other thing is when we were doing Hanukkah, I showed you that there was a special insert that they do on Hanukkah. And that comes at the blessing for gratitude, which is the seventh blessing of the Amidah. There's also an insert for Purim. And this is what it says. So this is the book. We use this in the synagogue, the complete Purim service. It's
Yeah, we have that.
yeah.
Mm.
So the translation, and then we're going to look at it. It says, in the days of Mordechai and Esther, in Shushan, the capital, when the wicked Haman rose up against them and sought to destroy, to slay, and to annihilate all Jews, and those are pretty harsh words in Hebrew, both young and old, little children and women, on one day, the 13th day of the 12th month. 12th month probably because after Purim comes April, which was the first month of the year, which is Passover, Aviv. Okay, so they're killing everybody on the 13th. That's they picked lots, the Purim. The 13th day was chosen in the month of Adar, and take the spoils of them for a prey. Then didst thou in thine abundant mercy bring his counsel to naught, didst frustrate his design and return his recompense upon his own head. Tables were turned, he got hung, and they hanged him and his sons on the gallows. How many sons did Haman have? I think there's 12. And the trick is we have somebody in our synagogue, you're supposed to like say the names of all the sons in one breath. So you go like, and they have these long names, Persian names, which is very hard, but she can do this every year. She takes a big, deep breath and she says all the names of the sons. Now, I don't know why that's the custom, but that is the custom. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, who said yes?
There are lots of customs like that. I mean, on Pesach, when you do the dipping and you say the plagues, my father always did it in one breath.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did you say your father was a rabbi?
no, he was a doctor, but he was brought up ultra Orthodox, so, yeah.
Nice, nice. Everybody, we have a lot of fun with the plagues. I have Mrs. Holstein, I have a little porcelain cow. And when it comes to the cattle disease, I have her by my plate and I put her down and I go, moo. And then for hail, okay, we have ping pong balls, and for lice, we have rice. We have, it's a mashugana. I get little snapping frogs, those little green things. And then we snap them on the table. So we have a lot of fun. We use food coloring for the blood and the black mask for the death. It's great. Okay, so I gave you a copy of this and I wanted to read this with you. Let me see. Now I had it out there and of course I put it away. All right, let me just get this. So this has a lot of important vocabulary. It's the one that says Al Hanisim. Now the Al Hanisim, there's a little introductory song. You might have heard this. The cantor does this. It goes kind of like nice and peppy. It goes like this. Al Hanisim vi al hapurkan vi al hagvurot vi al hatishuot vi al hamilchamot she'asita lavoteinu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. And it repeats. Al hapurkan. Did anyone ever hear that melody? Yeah. Okay. Looks like Diane, your synagogue and mine are sort of aligned and then it starts off the Yemei Mordechai, in the days of Mordechai, the Esther, and I want you to be familiar with looking at those words and being able to say them. These are sight words. B'Shushan Habira. What's that? Shushan.
That's the city.
Now,
The city of Shushan.
Yeah.
There was 127 provinces in the kingdom of Achashverosh. So in Shushan, Habira is the capital. Shushan was the capital city of his empire. Kasha Amad Alehem. It was said to them, Haman Harasha, Haman the wicked, Bikesh, he requested, Lahashmid, here we go again, to destroy, Laharog, to kill, Ula Abed, and annihilate Et kol hayudim, all the Jews. Na'ar is a young person, from youth, ve'ad until zaken, old people. Tough, that's an infant. V'nashim, women. V'yom echad, on one day, Bishlosha Asar, on the 13th, Lachodesh of the month, Shneim Asar of the 12th month, Hu Chodesh Adar, the month of Adar, Ushlalam, and their spoil, Lavos to take, Va'ata, Berachamecha, and you, God, in your great mercy, Berachamecha Ha-Rabim, in your great mercy. Hey, Barta, you foiled at Atzapto, their plan, V'kilkalta et Machashavto, and you ruined his thought, his plot. And here's the interesting, V'hashevota lo Gamul, and you turned it on him. You turned the tables on Haman. Okay, because he got hung. Gulo Berosho, Vitalu, and hung Oto, him, the Etbanav, and his son Al Ha'etz. What's Ha'etz? Is a
Tree.
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 And you hung him and his sons on a tree. So the tables were turned. What's another part of the story where the tables were turned on Haman? So Haman is the advisor to the
Oh,
king. What happens?
The
Well,
part about honoring somebody. He
Right.
thought he was being honored.
yeah, what shall be done? So the king is wondering what shall be done to the man the king desires to honor. And Haman is thinking it's going to be him riding with the king's clothes on the king's horse, going through the town. And what happened, of course, it turned out to be Haman. And somehow along there, Haman gets water dumped on him. And so there goes Mordechai strolling through with the king's horse, the king's clothes, and he's the man who saves the king's life because it was found out that he heard that two of his attendants were planning to kill him. So that's why it's an upside down day. There used to be a newspaper in New York called Jewish Week, and on Purim, they would do all kinds of crazy things in the newspaper, all kinds of satires, and things would be backwards and all. It's a backwards day, and it's a day for fun, and it's a day when my son-in-law, the chassid, drinks a lot. They all
I
drink.
hope so. I was going to ask about that. I thought that's what I heard.
You're supposed to drink so much that you don't know the difference between Arur Haman, cursed be Haman, and Baruch Mordechai, and blessed is Mordechai.
Right.
So the Hasidim really go to it, and they have a jolly old time. That's really a day of excess, which is allowed. So it's a fun holiday. Okay, so let's see if you can read some of this in Hebrew. All right. Can somebody read the first 3 lines at the top? Oh, so Al Hanisi means for the miracles. So the miracle was that the Jews once again were able to survive, and their enemies were killed, and they lived to they lived to be discriminated again. Again. Okay, we survive until the next terrible time. Okay, so I want someone to read the first 3 lines. Don't all answer
can
at
do it.
once. Okay, come on. And then Elizabeth, I want you to read it, all right? So you listen carefully to Diane. Okay, go ahead.
Al hanisim va'al hapurika
Poor
Con.
con.
va'al. Yeah, I was getting to the end. Va'al hagivurot, va'al hatishuot,
Great.
va'al hamikhamot, she'asita la'avotenu, bayamim hahem uvatzman hazeh.
Okay, nice job. Very nice. Okay, come on, Elizabeth.
Oh, are you reading the second pair? Wait.
No, the same lines.
That
First
was
3
the
lines.
first line of Al Hanisi.
She
First
did the
line?
first 3 lines.
Yeah.
Well, it's
well,
like a period at the end, right, one long line. The punctuation in Hebrew is not the same as in English. Just start with
Okay.
Al Hanisim, and when you get to Hazeh, you're done.
I don't know, Al Hanisim, but I don't know where she stopped because I was reading the first line still and none of it was matching.
Well,
Am
you
I-
did a good job. The first
Okay.
3 lines on the just the
Okay,
first
so
3 lines.
start at
Al
me.
Hanisim.
the very
Okay,
beginning,
Al
very top.
Hanisim. The same line. Al Hanisim Be'al. Okay, all right.
Be'al.
Al Hanisim Be'al Hapur Khan. Yeah, Hapur Khan Be'al Hag Burot
Good.
Be'al Hat Shuot
Keep going. Great, Yofi.
Be'al Hamil Hamot She'a Sito Sita or Sito
Sita.
Sita La'a Botenu Ul
You don't have to read that one.
Imotenu.
Okay,
Ul-
that's and our mothers. Avotenu is our fathers, like the patriarchs. Ula Imotenu is and the matriarchs.
Ul Imotenu. Okay.
Mhm.
Bayamim Hahem Uvon Man
Uvaz is
Hazeh.
a Zion. Uvaz.
Uvaz Man Hazeh.
Very nice. Yofi.
Yay.
Good job. So what does that mean by Yamim Hahem?
The days passed.
Right. Yom is day. Yamim is days. Hahem, those days. By
Yes.
Yamim Hahem. Uvazman. Zman is time. And at that time or season. And at this time, so this time is Purim. In those days, at this time, this Purim celebration time. Okay, let's go on. Denise, how about you read the next 2 lines?
Okay,
I say Denise, I want to say Denephew.
I know, a lot of people do. Bime, Mordechai,
No, it's a hero in the story. The man who is the hero. Come on, you know this.
Mordecai, it's not Mordecai?
No?
Mordechai.
Oh, Mordecai.
Yeah.
God. All right. The emoter.
S to Samich.
Oh, the esoter.
Esther.
The
Esther.
Esther. The Esther. They show Shane.
Shushan.
They show Sean. Habirach.
Good.
He
K.
Kush K Amin. No, K She
K. That would be a
Oh,
sound
okay.
schwab. K.
Kush Amin.
Amad. Kushe Amad. The dalet on the end.
Alechem.
So in the days of Mordechai and Esther, in Shushan, the capital city, when Amad means stand, but when they stood, when they fought up against them, and then the next line is the bad guy in the story.
Right. Haman Haresha.
So he's known as Haman the Wicked.
Killed him.
That's his Haman HaRasha. Yeah.
Bikesh Lehashmid.
Now here comes 3 verbs, 3 nasty verbs. He requested of the king. Lahashmid, to destroy,
Maharog.
to kill,
Ule, Ula Bade,
To annihilate.
et Kal.
Cool.
Et
Okay.
Kol.
And you know who he wanted to get rid of.
Right.
Okay. Francine, we'll take a third line. No, it was good. Good.
Mm.
Hi, hi, Yehudim, Mina'ar, Va'ad, Zaken, Tak,
Tough.
Tough,
Mhm.
okay, Tough, V'nashin, B'yom Echad, B'Shilosha.
Yeah, I like the way Francine's really paying attention to the letters and she's doing a really nice job. So the last word was they were going to annihilate, call all HaYehudim, the Jews, from me, it's a preposition, Na'ar, a youth, the and ad, up to,
Oh, from the old
Zaken,
to the young, yeah.
right, the old and the young, Taf, infant, the Nashim and women and children, to the lifeboats. The Yom Echad, on one day, everybody was going to get theirs on one day. It was going to be a big slaughter. And then the Shlosha is 3. Shlosha Asar is 3 and 10. That's how you do the teens. So Shlosha Asar, that's the 13th. Shlosha Asar. And let's continue. Keep going, Francine. Doing a really beautiful job.
Thank you. Asar, Lehodash, Lehodash,
Chodesh. Chodesh.
Lehodash,
Mhm.
Shanen, Asar,
Okay, so that's
Who-
12. Shneim comes from Shnayim from 2 and Asar 10, Shneim Asar. So on the 13th day of the 12th month,
okay, Who Hodash,
Chodesh,
Who Chodesh, Adar, Ushlalem, Levos.
yeah, so they were going to take everybody's possessions too.
Hmm.
That's the spoils of war, they would not only kill the people, but take their stuff. Okay, thank you. You did some really nice reading and you're really being careful. I love it. All right, Dorothy, the Atah,
Ve'ata v'rachamecha ha-rabim he-barta et atzarto. V'kil kalta et machashavto v'hashevota lo Gemula, yeah. Virosho, the Talu, Oto, the Et, Banan,
bananas, no, Banav. The Yud Vav is always Al,
yeah,
Banav.
Bana, Al, Ha'etz.
Okay, so the last line says that everything was turned on its head, Vahashevota, and he returned, God, we're talking to God in his great mercy, turned things around, Gimulo, as and gave retribution on his head, on Haman, and hanged him and his sons, Banav. The Yud Vav ending is possessive, it means his, plural, on the tree. Okay, so that's the end of him. Okay, so this is going to be read, on the Purim day when they do the Amidah. The service will be at night. It'll be during Mincha. No, Mariv. It'll be during Mariv, and they'll put this. You're going to recognize this. they're gonna put this whole thing from Al Hanisim, the cantor will sing that, and then they'll read this. This is the insert before we get to Sim Shalom, which is the last blessing on Shabbat. So they're gonna put this in. On Hanukkah, they put the thing in about the Hasmoneans and the Maccabees, but on Purim, they put this in. And we had studied this, it's the blessing for gratitude. So that's why it's both cases with Hanukkah and with Purim, that's why it's situated right here before Sim Shalom, because we're thanking God that we were still alive, that our enemies were killed and we remained alive. We were not what they wanted to do, annihilate us. And of course, we know it was not only in the time of Achashverosh, it was in the time of World War II. And apparently it's coming back again, this terrible anti-Semitism. So, okay, but I wanted you to read that because you're going to be following the service and you're going to say, why all of a sudden in the Amidah does it have this passage about Haman and Mordechai and Esther, okay? So that's the thing. Now the pièce de résistance. This is, so I took from this book every chapter and I made my own abridged, very, very abridged version. I took from each chapter, I took a few sentences that had the key words, the key idea. And then I translated it. So I took like half a line from the top and half a line here where it made sense to just make it smaller. And I didn't put it with vowels because that would be a nightmare. I'd have to take it out and put it in and send it again. So chapter 1 is Vashti won't dance. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, he made a banquet for all his princes and his servants. He commanded to bring Vashti the queen before the king in her royal crown because she was good looking, but the queen refused to come at the king's command. Now, in the Hebrew, it says, Rak Beketer, and the commentaries say he wanted her to come only in her crown. In other words, be a nudie cutie and dance before the king, nude, to show off his possession, how beautiful she was, because she was Tofat Mareh, she was nice looking. And they were drunk. They were drunk as a skunk. These men had been banqueting for a long time. They'd been feasting like a week and drinking a lot. It was a drinking, like a bacchanal. So
Frat party.
yeah. So that's the main thing. It starts off like that, where Vashti is put, and that's the whole rationale for having the beauty contest and summoning all the young girls, and then he picks the best. Now, I know the story of Scheherazade is like that. So if this is truly history, one thing, it might be fable, it might be a fantasized version of what happened, because in Scheherazade, the king actually sleeps with all those young girls. You know, the Arabian Nights, he doesn't just look at them, line them up and just have them pass by. He sleeps with them until Scheherazade. And she captures his attention by spinning yarns and telling him stories that don't end. And she keeps going on until he can't refuse anymore. He has to marry her. So this is almost like your blue book exam here. I want you to see if you can recognize any of the words, because when you read Torah, Dorothy knows this, there's nothing there.
Right.
There's no vowels. There's no vowels. There's no trope. I have tomorrow, I'm doing it. Oh, by the way, last week, there was no, I did 100% and I didn't make any mistake. I was very
Oh, good.
proud.
That was hard. It was long.
It was
Lots of
about
time.
13 lines. Tomorrow I have 9 lines, and then I'm going to do the Haftorah, which I've done before. And my custom is I always write an introduction. I always write in, explain what the Haftorah is about, because it's if you're sitting there in the congregation and you're reading it, it doesn't make any sense. You know, you have to read it over several times to really figure out what's going on. So apparently what's happening is a young boy becomes king. He's like, I think he's 7 years old. And as he grows up, he's honest. He takes lessons, I guess, in kingship from also an honest prophet, and he finds out that the Kohanim have been taking money from the treasury, which ostensibly was to rebuild and fix any parts of the temple that needed fixing. But they were putting their finger in the till, so to speak, and taking the money. And he sees that happening and he stops it. And then he has like a little tzedakah box set up where all the monies that come in go into that like lockbox. And then it's only taken out to give to this, the one who is the main, he's like the contractor for the temple. And he has woodcutters and the stone cutters, and he's the one that hires all the workmen, and he's the only one, and they trust him. He's the only one that is allowed to take the money out for the supplies and for the workmen to fix the temple, what it was really meant for, those contributions. They were not meant to line the pockets of the Kohanim. So he was a really honest guy, and the prophet who raised him from a little boy and gave him lessons was honest, and the contractor was honest, but everybody else was crooked. So I've written an introduction to that so people will know what I'm chanting. Okay, so look at the first line on chapter 1. Do you see any words that look familiar that you could try to figure out if you put vowels on them?
Vayehi is the first one, I think.
Yeah, Vayehi, what does that mean, Vayehi?
That I don't know.
That's the equivalent of once upon a time, and it was Vayehi,
Oh, Vayehi, yeah.
Vayehi.
The last word is asa, and that's made.
Very good, very good. What about the third word? This is one of the principal characters in the story.
Ahashverosh.
Great, Chashverosh. Vayehi biyamei, in the days of, it was in the days of Achashverosh.
Who?
Who, that means H-E, that's a Asa Mishteh. He made a drinking party, a banquet.
Oh,
L'chol Sarav, Sar is like a minister, for all his ministers, the Avadav, and his advisors. And then the third line, okay,
Amar.
Mar.
right. He said, or commanded. The next word is lahavi, to bring. Et is not translated. That little word comes before direct object. So who did he command to bring?
Vashti.
Vashti. And what was her position? She was the
Queen.
Queen.
Malka.
Malka, the
Malka,
queen.
right? The
The
queen. And
Malka.
we have girls' names are Malka, right? Malka is a very common name. So Amar lahavi et Vashti hamalka, bring Vashti the queen
Lifnei, before.
before, in front of, and with a queen is always a
Amelech, the king.
melech. Now, in her crown, keter is her crown. Be means in. Keter, it would be two vowels, the 3 dots. Keter, her queenly crown. Keter malchut.
Malchut, ki.
What does ki mean? Ki,
Because.
because,
Ki, yeah.
ki.
Haha. Because.
Ki, da, 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 da. Okay, Lifnei Hamelach, Beketer Malchut, Ki. Okay, because, now here's the reason I want to show
Tovat.
Tovat. Tovat Mar'eh. She was good looking. Mar'eh is from the verb lirot, to see. She was good looking.
good to
Actually
look at.
translates, she was good looking. She was a looker. Tovat, she was good to look at. Tovat Mar'eh. He, that's S-H-E, she was good looking. This word you wouldn't know. Vatzma'en, and she refused. Ooh.
Amalka.
The queen refused. The Queen Vashti refused. So it's and refused the Queen Vashti. That's how it goes.
Right.
Fatima'en Hamalka, and the last line, Vashti, to do what? She refused to lavo, to come. I won't dance. Don't ask me. I won't dance.
Bow, like the
I
Parsha
can't
bow.
believe him. Yeah. Vashti. So the more you learn, the more you know. Lavo. And the next word is bidvar. Davar is word. At the word of, at the command of, Yelep. Okay. So I wanted to prove to you by not putting in the nikudot, the vowels, the little dots, that you, with your knowledge, should be able to start picking out words. And when you get a Torah reading, and Denise knows this, Dorothy knows this, that you need to, at a glance, know exactly how to pronounce that word. You need to know what that word is and how it sounds, so that, and then you have to learn the melody for it.
Yep.
Okay, so it's double duty. But the main thing is when you see it like this is the way it looks in the Torah, gals. Okay, no trope notes, no vowels. So you need to read it many, many times. So it's in your ear. Like on the Torah reading I have it tomorrow, it's already, the words are like in my ear because I've been saying it so many times. And that's how people get to be able to do this successfully. You just keep repeating it and repeating it. It's like being on stage. It's like an actress having lines and you just learning your lines. I always wonder, how do they go through a whole play, 3 hours of a play, and know all their lines? It must be very difficult. It must be like learning Torah. So, and then if you're in a certain story, like we're in a particular story now, and if you should know the storyline or in the Torah, if you know the Parsha, so it's always good to read a couple of times the English of what the Hebrew is. So when I look at the line, I know what I'm saying. Now I look up any words because I'm a Meshugana. I look up any words I don't know. So I get the sense of exactly what that line is saying. So it means it makes sense to me when I'm saying it. And then the words are easier to learn because it's what's happening in that line.
It's
Right?
logical.
It's logical. It's not just sounds. It's not just a whole bunch of sounds. These are words and they have meaning and they go together like a puzzle, okay, in the sentence.
Mhm.
So you're able to do it. No, you start to recognize the stuff that's familiar, right? I titled chapter 2, A Beauty Pageant for a Lusty Old King. Okay, what's the first word? The first 2 words. And you can look at the English for some help.
Ish Yehudi.
Right, Ish, a man, Yehudi, a Jewish man.
Yehudi.
I love this word because I always did a Miss Piggy. Hiya! The kids used to like that one.
Oh, he Bashushan. Gura.
Ish Yehudi was Haya,
Oh, Haya. Mhm.
a Jewish man was Ish Yehudi Haya Bishushan. What does that mean?
In Shushan.
In Shushan. Okay, that's the capital city. Shushan Habira. Ir is a city. Habira is the capital city. Ish Yehudi Haya B'Shushan Habira. A Jewish man once was in the capital city of Shushan, and we know we're talking about Mordechai. So Mordechai is going to have to be in here someplace because we just announced it. So we can intuit that his name is going to be here. So it's not a shock when we come across those letters that spell out Mordechai, right? Okay. And what's the next line? The first word is u, starts with u. What does shame mean?
Shema.
Ushmo, 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 echad. So what does shame mean? His something
Oh,
was
his
Mordechai.
name.
Name,
His
Name.
name, shame. Shame is a name. U and shemo. The ending is possessive. It means his and his name. And in Hebrew, you have to fill in the verb of being.
Mordecai.
And his name, and we have to say in English, was Mordechai. And there it is, Mordechai, his cousin Morty. Ushmo Mordechai, and we had that word before, ve, vayehi, and he, now Omain is to, it's not Amen. He raised, he raised, vayehi Omain, and he was raising et, no translate. Now, what's her Persian name?
Awesome.
Hadassah. That's
Hadassah.
Hadassah Hospital, right? Ushmo Mordechai, vayehi Omain et Hadassah. Okay, and her name was Hadassah. Okay, and the next on the third line. What's the first word? It's the one that means S-H-E,
He,
which means
Esther.
she, right? He, Esther, she was Esther, and her name was Hadassah. She was Esther. So Esther must be her Hebrew name, and Hadassah must be her. I don't know which is which. If Esther was I really don't know. I forgot if Esther was the Hebrew name. Hadassah was the Hebrew name, and Esther was her Persian.
is the Persian name, Esther.
Esther. So Hadassah is her Hebrew name, like Hadassah Hospital, and Esther's a Persian name. Okay. Vaye Ehav. Now, Ahav, Yahavi Ahavta, what's the root?
Love.
Love, right. Vaye Ehav, and if it starts, this is the future tense starts with a yud, and he loved, and loved. What's the next word?
King Amalek.
Right, I see, you can see that I really split this up. Vayehav hamelech et, don't translate. Next line, who did he love?
Esther.
Bless
Esther.
you,
Bless you.
Agreed, Esther. And he
Esther.
loved Esther. Can anyone figure out the next little word?
Mikol from all.
Mikol, of all. Mikol. Mikol halelot. Mikol, right? From all other nights, right? It's just one different, right? You know these words. You could probably sing this stuff in your sleep. Vayehav hamelech et Esther, and the king loved Esther. Mikol, from all.
Anishim.
Anashim, who are Nashim?
People.
The women. People would be
Oh,
Anashim. Nashim is Isha, plural, Nashim. He loved her of all the women. Vayasem, and he put Vayasem Keter.
The crown.
Right, he put the crown. Malchut.
Oh,
What kind of crown? It wasn't the king's crown, it was the,
Queens.
yes,
Queen.
because we already said goodbye to Vashti in chapter 1. She's gone. Vayasem Keter Malchut. And where did he place this crown?
Should go on her head, no?
Yeah, Be
The
Rosh.
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 Rosh's head. Be is on, and the hey at the end is a her. Be Rosha. Vayam lichecha. And he crowned her. You see the word melech in there, like melech.
Yeah.
So, and he crowned her tachat, instead of, made her queen, instead of who's the one who left?
Vashti.
Vashti.
Vashti went to Vashti Windows. Vashti. Vayam lichecha, and he crowned her tachat Vashti. Now, the next two are Persian names. These are two of his, I guess, like bodyguards. So it's Bigtan Vateresh, Bigtan and Teresh, and I have it in English there. Shnei, two. When you're counting, you go achat, shtayim, shalosh, two. Sarisei, two of his chamberlains, like bodyguards, or two of his flunkies. Two of the chamberlains of who?
Achashverosh.
Right,
Ahasuerus.
the man whose name sounds like a sneeze. Achash. Rosh. Vayevakshu. Now, Bikesh is to request, and they requested. What's the next word? It's like giving up gifts is
Shloah.
okay. Lishloach, to send. Yad. a hand.
And
That means to lay hands on. They were going to kill the king, laying hands on him. They were going to kill him. So, Bigtan and Teresh, two of the chamberlains, it says here, of Acherosh, they wanted to lay a hand on Bamelech. So here was a plot against the king. And who winds up knowing about this? Mordechai. So he can record this, and that's how he gets to be riding on the king's horse with the king's garments, right? So the plot starts to take shape.
Talk about
L'shloach yad.
being at the right place at the right time.
That's right. You got it. L'shloach yad b'melech. Vayivada. Now, Yodea is no. Ani Yodea. We're going to do
I need loaded.
Echad, Ani Yodea. Ani lo Yodea. And a woman says, Ani lo Yodaat. Ani lo Yodaat. So Vayivada, and this is from the root Lada'at, to know, and it was known, this is passive, Vayivada Hadavar, and this plot, this action to kill the king was known, Vayivada, to who? Who found out about it?
Mordecai.
Mordechai. Okay, Vayivada, and it became known, Hadavar, the plot, Mordechai. Vayaged. Okay, so a Haggadah means telling. The Haggadah, lahagid is to tell. Haggadah is a story, it's a telling. And that's what a Haggadah is. It's a telling of the Yitziat Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt. So, Vayaged, who did he tell?
Esther.
All right, Vayaged la Esther. And she was now the
Queen.
Yeah.
okay, and he told it to Esther the queen, Vatomer, and she told it, Vatomer Esther, Vamelech.
Melech, the king.
Okay, so
The-
she knows about the
Mhm.
plot. Mordechai and Esther know about the plot. Okay. So then the third one, see, we have time. Yeah, we'll do it quickly. Down. So you see, this is not as impossible as it might seem. So you can all sign up for Torah readings, but you need time. If somebody wants to give you a Torah reading, don't take it on the following week. Give yourself a couple of weeks and then practice it. Why are you laughing? How long did you practice for the Megillah?
The first time I must have practiced for 4 weeks. Now I can do it in a week, but you know, I have to really focus on it.
So do they give you Torah readings regularly?
Sorry, what?
Do they give you Torah readings on a regular
Yeah,
basis?
the cantor gives me Torah readings, yeah.
Right. How many
But
lines?
we're on a triennial, so by the time I get the Torah read, I mean, so if you've done it once, she gives it to you again.
Yep.
After 3 years, it looks like a foreign language again. I mean, it's it doesn't come, it takes a little bit to come back. You know?
Yeah. So the one that that assigns the Torah readings is an outstanding Torah reader. She can read anything. She's great. So she said, "Oh, you did this 2 years ago." I go, and I'm going to have to revisit this for a week or two. So she
my
would
kids
call me on a
laugh at-
Wednesday, and for Saturday, I said, "Don't do that. Don't call me on Wednesday for Saturday. I'll be nervous
Yeah.
from Wednesday to Saturday. I won't be able to sleep or think of anything else." It
I know.
it fills your head, and you're so
Mhm.
afraid you're going to forget it.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Okay, so chapter 3. So what root is this from? Gimel, Dalet, Lamed. What's the word for big?
Gadol,
Gadol.
Bill.
So
Goal is-
now gadol is used as a verb. How would you use the verb? How would you use the word gadol as how would you use it as a verb, as an action word?
To make bigger,
Yeah, to make big, to make great. Okay, so this is a past tense. Gidal, he made great. And the translate is promoted. Gidal, he made him great. Gidal Hamela, the king promoted. King Achashverosh promoted. Gidal Hamelach Achashverosh. Don't translate. Who did he promote?
Haman.
Haman. He promoted Haman. V'chol Avdei Hamelech, and all the servants, Eved, the servants of Hamelech, and all the servants of the king, Korim, v'nachnu korim, u'mishtachavim, u'modim, and what do?
Bow.
Bow, and all the servants of the king, Korim, are bowing, u'mishtachavim, and prostrating themselves, v'nachnu korim, u'mishtachavim, u'modim, and we give thanks to. So the whole of De Hamelech, Korim u'mishtachavim, you know these words, Lehaman. So who are they bowing down to?
Haman.
Haman, because he's a big promoted now, like to the prime minister. He's a big hoo-ha.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah,
Korim, that word, that means to bow?
yes,
That's the word for bow? Okay.
yes. And mishtachavim is prostrate. So they bow and then they,
Okay.
like, actually that would be like going down on the floor, but, almost like Arabs do, but. So they bow before Haman. The Mordechai, what did Mordechai not do?
Bow.
And what does the word lo mean?
No.
Did not. The Mordechai, lo. Yichra, he did not. It's the same, you can see it's the same root. From Korim, the Chaf, the Resh, and the Ayin. Korim, okay? Velo, and he did not bow. Yichra, velo yishtachave, and he didn't bow and prostrate, okay? Because he's Jewish. He's not going to do it. Okay. Vayomer Haman, what's Vayomer?
Say.
And said, and Haman said, Lamelech. Now, here is where he sets us up. Yesh, no, there is. Yesh is there is. Yesh, no, there is. What's like Yisrael Chai?
People.
There's a nation. Bain Ha'amin, amongst the nations, like he's got 127 provinces. So there's a like a Jewish conclave here. There is Bain Ha'amim, amongst the people, Malchutecha, in your kingdom.
For kingdom.
Okay, again, it's same root of Melech, Malchut, Malchutecha. Remember, Cha at the end means your, in your Malchut, Malchutecha. V'dat tehem. Okay, a person who is dati is what? Dati means religious. That's a word we use now in modern Hebrew in Israel. If you say hu ish dati, he's a religious person, like a chassid, Orthodox, dati.
Oh.
V'datehem, and their beliefs. Da'at is a belief, and their beliefs, shonot, are different. We've heard this play before, right? We've heard this before. We're different. V'datehem shonot. Okay, this is Haman speaking. B'nish loach. So that's the end of that sentence. B'nish loach, and were sent from shalach, like shalach manot, sending of gifts of food, and were sent. And they use the word sifarim. Now a sefer is a book, so this must be like some telegrams or something. So notes were sent. El, to, call, all, medinot. We know what medinot is. What's
The
the
land.
states of the
Okay.
lands of Hamelech. So wherever there were Jews, letters were sent to all the king's provinces. Sifarim, okay, v'nishloach, they were sending Sifarim notes, El Kol Medinot Hamelech, all of the provinces of the king. And here are those very three vile words: lahashmid, to destroy; laharog, to kill; and laabed, annihilate, wipe out; et kol, et you don't translate all. Who are they wiping out?
Jews.
The Jews.
Yehudim, Mina'ar, from youth, the ad zaken, from young to old. Okay, but those three words you see again in the same order: to destroy, to kill, and then to annihilate. And you see them in the same order a couple of times here in the Megillah. Okay, so I thought that this would give you, and we're going to do that. I've done this for the whole 10 chapters, and I found it was very interesting doing it because I had to really fine-tooth comb each chapter. I had to read it and I had to pick out what was the main idea, and then I had to find the words that I could splice up. It was like splicing film that would make sense. And so, and then I put titles on all the 10 chapters, and then I wrote the little blurbs. It was a lot of work, but it was a labor of love. I really enjoyed doing it. I did it, I think last year.
This whole thing is a labor of love for you. You just love this. It's so, it's so obvious. And it's wonderful because it rubs off.
Yeah,
It rubs off on
I
us.
really-
on me.
I love studying, Hebrew. I really do. I really love it.
You can tell.
Yeah, I do. I really get a big thrill out of it. And then, like I said, when I'm up there and I say, yes, I didn't make any mistakes. They didn't interrupt me once last week. Let's have my little 9 lines, and it starts with Elohim, and I'm going to say, oh, please God, Elohim. Give me this thing. That's the first word in the thing. So this is the one I did last week was right before the 10 Commandments. And what is this one? This is in Mishpatim. So this is interesting because the lines that I have say that, and this is difficult for me. I'm such an animal lover that a newborn animal, calf or whatever it is, will stay with the mother for 7 days, and then 8th day it's sacrificed. It's given up to God, and brought to the earth. So that part I don't like that part. But it also talks about giving of the firstborn, Pidyon Haben. It doesn't say Pidyon Haben, but it says the firstborn shall be mine. So then the Pidyon Haben is the redemption of the firstborn. And that on the 7th day, you will give your firstborn to me, Bechor, Ben HaBechor, the firstborn. And what else do I have? Oh yeah, so in Mishpatim there's a lot of laws. It's a lot of laws, moral laws. And then it says, like, if you see your neighbor's ox or donkey wandering away from the property, even if it's not your neighbor, they use the word your enemies. Your responsibility is to bring it back. Hashem Teshivenu, bring it back. And then the last one says, if you see your enemies, or your enemy's donkey, let's say, saddled with something very heavy, and he can't, he can't lift it, you have to help him up, and you have to help him with the burden. So these are a lot of the ethical laws, so mishpatim, which means sentences, or mishpat is a sentence in grammar. Mishpatim, like Beit Mishpat, because I wrote an article. I didn't send it to you, did I? That article that I wrote about what's going on in Israel, I'm going to have to send it to you. The Beit Mishpat is their Supreme Court. Okay, Beit is a house of Mishpat, house of law. So the thing is with Netanyahu, who wants to have authority over the courts, but that, that's no good, because you've got, you have the judicial branch would be sacrificed then to legislative and what else is it? There's judicial, the legislative, and the executive. So the executive and the legislative, the Knesset, would have total authority over the Supreme Court, and that's why 100,000 Israelis were picketing. They were protesting in Tel Aviv. They don't want to destroy their democracy. So we live in a very strange time, very crazy. So, all right, if you like this, there's more of this. We'll do this. We'll put next week. But I am very thrilled that you're able to pick out the words, and when you recognize the word, then you can say it. It doesn't matter if there's vowels there. You recognize the letters, and then you can say that word. Now, Esther, Vashti, Melech, Malka. Okay, those are words that you can sight read. You just now tap yourselves on the shoulder. You're just like first graders.
Thank you for our wonderful.
people ask me how I-
We made
How
it
I
out of
do.
kindergarten. I have my certificate on the wall. I graduated from kindergarten. You're no longer a beginner. You're now, actually, you're more, you got a foot into intermediate, because I don't know if anyone else does this quite like I've done this, really gets into the text, but I love to study the original text. But so we'll finish it up. Oh, next week, I think I have to cancel the class because my brother is very heavy into ballroom dancing. And he's in the senior division, the oldest ones. He has a very beautiful Russian teacher who was trained in Russia with ballet and dance, and she's amazing. She sews some of these fabulous costumes. She's like half out of it and half into it, And she's beautiful, and her husband is also Russian, and he's also a dancer and a dance instructor. So they're going to be performing next Friday morning. We're going to go into the city and we're going to see them. But we're going to finish this up the following week.
Wait,
Okay.
Carol, I'm going to be coming home from Europe the following week, so I won't be in class. We're
Okay.
landing at 2:00, so,
I am going to send it to you.
yeah, please do.
You-
'cause I'll
And
look at it.
and you'll make your way through. I don't know what happened to we were supposed to have Diane Stacy here, but I sent the stuff to her. Okay, so all right, crew.
Thank
Shabbat
you so
shalom.
much.
Thank you,
Shabbat
Carol.
shalom.
Wish me kayak for Shabbat. There's one word that has the word tushy in it. Tushy ven. When I see that, I go, I have to crack up and send it back to him. His ass, send his ass back to him. And the word tushy in it.
Bye, thank you.
Thank
You'll
you.
be fine.
Shabbat.
Fine, Carol.
Shabbat shalom,
Bye.
everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.